right, our next manipulation is we're going to do knife pleats on a shaped yoke. The point of this manipulation is to amalgamate both your knowledge on pleats plus your knowledge on yokes now. But very importantly, why we've said a shaped yoke is because the shape of your pleats is going to change because of the shape of this yoke here. And it's important that I show you how to shape the top of your pleat pattern when you do multiple pleats or even one pleat and it's getting sewn on a shape other than a horizontal line. Okay, so let's get started on this particular manipulation. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 knife pleats going into an inverted pleated center front. So we're doing quite a bit of a manipulation here. All right, as you can see, I have traced off my front block. I'm again back on my front block. I have indicated my center front, which is this line. It's not just the whole block piece. Okay, and I have squared my horizontal hip line from my center front to intersect my hip nip. Okay, my dart is there. We are ready to get started. Okay. Right, the first thing I want you to do, I'm not going to give you measurements here, so please don't get too much of a fright. I want you to draw a yoke line that is at an angle that intersects the bottom of your dart. Okay? That's what I want. Okay? The measurements are not important. What is important is that it's shaped at an angle and that it intersects the bottom of your dart. Okay, this is our plan, obviously, that we are working on. And the first thing you can do on your plan once you have done that is you can indicate that that is your yoke and you are going to fold out your dart, which we know how to do because we've done that in previous manipulations. Okay, now what we need to do is we need to place in all our 4 different knife pleats. We know we are adding a center front pleat, okay, inverted pleat. All right, so if you need to, on your plan, you can write there, add center front inverted pleat. Okay, and I think for the exercise, we are again going to still keep the pleats being 4 centimeters deep. Okay, it's a nice size pleat that. It's not too small that it'll bounce open and it's not too deep that it'll use up oodles and oodles and oodles of fabric. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to find my place lines here. There's 4. What I want you to do is I want you to measure from your center front 5 centimeters, okay, top and bottom, and I want you to draw a line that intersects your yoke. Okay, so that is 5 centimeters. That will give us line 1. Okay, all right, we'll draw this line 1. Okay, we're going to do line 2, which is another 5 centimeters along. Again, we're going to draw that line so that it intersects our yoke. Okay, and this is line 2. All right, which is there. Or pleat 2, you're welcome to call it pleat 2 if that's clearer for you. We're going to do another 5 centimeters. This is line 3. We go to the drawing. There's your line 3. And then we're going to do our last 5 centimeters. Okay. So, our plan here, because bearing in mind this is our plan, we write all our instructions on our plan. We would write on our plan, open 8 centimeters for 4 centimeter knife pleat. Okay, open 8 centimeters, open 8 centimeters, open 8 centimeters. Okay, these lines that we have done, you can do them any spacing you like. What is important is that they must be parallel to center front. If your pleat lines go skew to center front, in other words, if they lie like that, your pleat is going to fall off grain on the fabric and it will bubble and never lie flat and smooth. Okay, so quickly you can trace off your plan because you need to show your plan in your work, and we are going to work with your plan. We just need the skirt part of your plan, okay? So we're going from the bottom of your yoke line, down center front, along your hem, and up your side seam. And I will meet you back here to learn to manipulate it to put all our pleats in.
Okay.
You can pause there.
And I'm ready.
Right, okay. So what we've done is we've traced off our lower part of our skirt with all of our manipulation lines. As we know, we are going to be opening this pattern. So the first rule of that is we always need a horizontal line. So we have our hip line on our plan, on our piece of paper that we're working on. Okay, we are going to draw a nice long horizontal line because we have to do lots of pleats inside here. So our first step is working on the right hand side of our page. We are going to, not too far, because don't forget we have to add on our inverted pleat here. Remember at the drawing, at center front, there is an inverted pleat. Do you remember when you should be copying these drawings off and putting them with your notes, because as you are seeing now, we make patterns from drawings, not from written information. So this is a pattern. This is your instruction you'll be given on how to make a pattern. You get given a drawing. Okay, so you've traced it off. Let's go back down to our plan. Lining up my hip line with my horizontal line on my paper. I'm going to mark my center front. I know my center front is a straight line, so I'm doing my center front a little bit along the yoke. I'm doing my first panel line and a little bit along the yoke. I'm going to go down to my hem. I'm going to do the hem of my panel line, a little bit along the hem, center front, and a little bit along the hem. I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to draw my panel piece in. Okay, now the first thing I need to do is I need to do my center front inverted pleat. Now this is exactly as when we did a folded inverted pleat on center front. Okay, we know it's 4 centimeters deep, so we need a line that's 4 centimeters and another 4 centimeters. Remember, because it must go in 4. There's your piece. It must go in 4 and it must come out 4 to get back to center front. Okay, so do a line 4 centimeters to the right of center front. Okay, your middle line can be a broken line because that's a line that stays within. Okay, this becomes your new fold line. Okay, because it's in the middle of everything. This is exactly as when you did an folded inverted pleat on center front. Okay, now we need to add pleat number 1. Remember our instruction here says open 8 centimeters for a 4 centimeter deep knife pleat. So we are going to do that. We are going to, you can either measure 4 and 4 or you can do the straight 8 centimeters. Whatever you like is easier for you. But remember, you make a shortcut on your notes when it comes back to trying to find that information. You are going to wish you had put all the correct information in. Okay, so broken line, and your next line can be a solid line. Okay, so there's 4, 4, 4, 4. Right, the next thing I need to do is lining up my horizontal line. I'm now doing this panel. Okay, so I need to line this line, top and bottom, on my second 4 centimeter line, and make sure my hip line is matching. Now remember, as with when we opened for a pleat on front and back of DCL, if you are not squared, these 4 points will not match, okay? But mine do. So again, I'm just going to mark the top, my second line, and I mark the top because I can see that that's where my yoke is. At the bottom, I mark the second line and my hem. Okay, you can draw a straight line. It normally is a straight line. You know, that is a straight line. That is a straight line. And there's your straight line. So this is, let's go, panel 1, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, panel 5. So there's panel 1, there's panel 2. Can you see how I'm transferring it onto this piece of paper? Now I need to add another 8 centimeter deep pleat. So again, you're going to add 4 centimeters and 8 centimeters. If at any point you feel I'm going a little bit fast, pause this video, catch up, or go back to the beginning and start again. Okay, that is the joys of these videos, is that you can watch them as often as you need to, pause them where you need to, and resume. Okay, so do not panic if you are struggling to keep up with me. It is more important that you get the information. Okay, so there we have 4 and 4. Now I need to put panel 3 here. So again, I'm going to match this line and that line, the right-hand side of panel 3. And I'm going to check that my horizontal line matches. Again, if it doesn't match, it is because your horizontal line is not squared to your center front, which is known as your vertical line. Okay, again, I'm marking the bottom, a little bit on the hem because I know that that's a straight line. Drawing a straight line. Connecting the line. Panel 3. Are we all happy so far? I'm sure we are. Okay, we now need to add yet another pleat. So it's 4 centimeters and 4 centimeters. As you'll see, I'm forever extending my lines past the necessary point because the yoke is in such a way, the yoke is in such a way that what's happening is the pattern pieces are getting longer and longer. Okay, this should have been a broken line. All right. Can be a solid line. All right, now I need to put panel 4 in. Okay, so again, I'm going to mark the right-hand side of panel 4. Making sure my hip lines are the same. Okay, I know that's a straight line. That's a straight line. Straight line left-hand side. And the hem. Right, we need, that's panel 4. So we need to add our last pleat, which is between panel 4 and panel 5. So again, we're going to add 4 centimeters and 4 centimeters. Okay, so we've got 4 and 4. Now we need to put panel 5, which is this last one here. matching my hip line. Okay, now this is a bit trickier because now you know that's a straight line, but you also know that this is the side seam of your block. So, as long as, whoopsie, I've moved. As long as you do the correct catchment points, you should find it easy enough. If you place your hip nip on your hip line, it should line up your hem nicely. So you can draw your panel up to your hip line and keep going up. And as you can see, it has intersected panel 5 just fine. Okay, now what I want to show you here, okay, is to join your hem, you will square from your fold line in, okay, to that line. Can you see? So I've joined that. So that is squared. The rest of these can get joined with straight lines because your hemline is relatively straight. So as your hemline is relatively straight, this is not a problem. This at the top is where it gets tricky. And what I need you to do is I need you to actually fold these pleats in. Okay, so my center front, folds onto my fold line. Remember, this was the pleat that was at center front in our drawing. Okay. The direction of your pleats is determined by this exercise here. If you were wanting your pleats to face the other direction, in other words, your pleats at the moment are facing your center front, but if you were wanting them to face your side seam, you would fold them in the direction of your side seam. At the moment, you can see my pleats are all facing center front because that is what my drawing dictated. Okay, the most important thing I want you to do, well, not one of the most important things I'd like you to look at is, as you can see, when I fold all the pleats back in, can you see it is exactly the same size as my original plan that I was working on? So that shows you how we've opened it up and put all the pleats there. Okay, while it is closed, I want you to take your tracing wheel and I want you to run it along your yoke line. Okay? Make sure it goes through nice and deep because it's got layers to go through. Once you have done that, you will open it again, so it will be your original pattern piece. And I want you to follow your tracing wheel lines in between the pleats. Can you see how it's giving you what the shape of the pleat is? Now this is very important because if you do not do this, if I had just straightened between each one, when it came to the back, I will show you now, it would not have got connected in to the yoke. So what I'm going to do is for the sake, you guys do not need to do this, just for the sake of the exercise, this is what your pattern piece will cut like, okay? Can you see that? What's important here is when I look at the back, which would fundamentally be the wrong side of your fabric, can you see each back of each pleat is still in line with your yoke? Can you see that? Had I gone, and I'm going to do it in the middle one here, and just gone straight across at the top, okay, when I fold my pleat and connect this part of the skirt to the yoke, can you see how this one does not meet here? So it's not going to get caught in the seam. Can you see that? And it's going to hang loose and it's going to develop a hole. So that is why we fold our pleats when they're on an angle, so we can figure out what shaping so that the back of the pleats are still caught into the seam that we need them caught in. Okay, so with this pattern piece, obviously this center front is your fold line, or will be placed on fold. Okay, you would add seam allowance all around and you would nip all your pleats. So you would nip your center front, your pleat. You'd nip every panel line is another way you could say that. Okay, which indicates every pleat. And what would happen now is the machinist could not get it wrong by folding your pleats the other way, because if she folded them the other way, they won't match at the top. If you have a look at this one, can you see how that sticks out? So she will know there is a problem. So she will go back and do it the other way. Again, like with all pleats, if you're wanting the pleat to go all the way from top to bottom, as we do in our drawing, you need to nip the hem as well as the top. If you do not nip the hem, the person sewing your garment will not press your pleats in, they will just fold them in and leave it as a full skirt. Okay, so well done guys, there's your knife pleat on a shaped yoke.